Campaign and the president himself. This is your direct line to give input on key campaign issues. Your portal to register voters. Host MAGA meetups, your scheduler, and all access pass. Your application on becoming a Trump team leader. Earn points, get rewarded, get frontline access. Get the presidential photo. Oh, and did we mention, this is your personal shopper too? So just to repeat, this isn't just an app. This is your tool to keep America great. Join the army for Trump and download the app today.
Trump campaign is now reaching voters online.
You are seeing the President of the United States. Look at the lines. A lot of President Trump supporters here.
Greatest movement in the history of our country.
Hello, hi Chris. Oh my gosh. How are you?
Mercedes, I've worked with the president a lot through this, and what I see is a man focused on protecting the health and safety of the American people.
You can't just sit there. Stand up. Stand up for what is right, and don't be afraid.
Time and time again, Joe Biden does not have the strength to stand up to the radical left of his party.
Today, we are spotlighting Green Bay, Wisconsin.
I thought I had seen everything from the Democratic Party. I never imagined they would try to shut down police departments.
But the things that he's doing right now to improve the lives and put Americans first.
President Trump is a very strong leader, and I like that. I want to feel confident in the person that is running the country.
We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. We will make America great again.
Welcome to Team Trump Online.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Black Voices for Trump, Real Talk Online. I'm Katrina Pierson, Senior Advisor to President Trump's re-election campaign, and tonight I'm joined by the former Speaker of the Oklahoma House of Representatives, who is now the President and CEO of Chickasaw Community Bank, T.W. Shannon, and RNC Senior Communications Advisor, Paris Dennard. Both TW and Paris currently serve on our Black Voices for Trump advisory board. Gentlemen, welcome to tonight's show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katrina. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. Well, tonight we're going to be covering President Trump's return to the campaign trail. This will be the first rally in 3 months, as well as we'll discuss the state of Black-owned business in our nation. So let's dive right in. On Saturday, President Trump will travel to Tulsa, Oklahoma for our first rally since the artificial shutdown of the economy. Over 1 million people have requested tickets to this rally, which is an incredible number considering that Tulsa has a population of 400,000. This will be the first rally since February, so everyone is excited to be back out on the trail, and Tulsa will be the first stop. TW, as our Oklahoma resident on the panel, what does this mean for the state of Oklahoma?
Well, I think the numbers say it all, Katrina. Oklahomans and people from surrounding states, make no doubt about it. It's not just Tulsans. It's not just Oklahomans. I've talked to families, that are coming as far as Alabama to take part of this historic event. And I think it just speaks to the excitement that surrounds the Trump campaign. I've been fielding calls from people for the last week, asking about tickets. And all I'm doing, I'm giving everybody Paris's personal cell phone number so that if they need tickets to call him personally. But truly, the numbers are historic. And I think it's because people recognize that Donald Trump has done an amazing job of creating not just an economy, but also a culture for investment. And this rally has been a hallmark of that campaign message. And it's a time for him to speak directly to Americans. And people want to be a part of that because they recognize these are historic times for sure. So there's a lot of excitement, as you can imagine. But I mean, there's always excitement around these campaigns and around the rallies. But this one is pretty historic.
Yeah, Paris, the Trump campaign is used to breaking records. And, here we are with over 1 million RSVPs. What does this say about the enthusiasm about President Donald Trump?
Well, Katrina, what it says is that the American people are excited about the president. But not only are they excited about the president, they're excited about his message. He has a message that continues to resonate with the American people. So whether the people are coming from Tulsa or they're coming from outside the state, the momentum is seriously on the side of President Trump, because even during COVID-19, he's shown incredible leadership, leading this nation, helping small businesses, helping the less fortunate. The president has an agenda that is working because he puts Americans first. And people can really feel that. So whether it's the record-breaking fundraising or the signups to join Black Voices for Trump that we've seen a significant increase in, or even the over 1 million people RSVPing to be a part of this rally, it shows that there is an enthusiasm on the side of the Republican Party and, quite frankly, for people outside of the party in support of President Trump that Joe Biden and the left just do not have, and they cannot even match this level of enthusiasm that we see right now.
Yeah, you're right. No one can match this level of enthusiasm. This is strictly a President Trump phenomenon, and TW, we've long said that everyone should attend at least one Trump rally in their lifetime because it's absolutely incredible. It's electric. It's uplifting. So tell everyone what your experience has been like at a Trump rally.
Well, Katrina, you're exactly right. Everybody should attend if they haven't before. In fact, I'm bringing my wife and kids. I've been to a few in the past, and the first one I went to was actually in Tulsa. It was either in 2015 or 16. It was very early in the campaign, and I was so overwhelmed by the amount of enthusiasm. Now, I will tell you, at that time, a lot of people who walked in, they weren't quite sure. Their minds weren't made up. They wanted to hear. They certainly knew of the celebrity of Donald Trump. They had heard some of the comments he had made about the economy, about the future of America, about the hope for America. But they walked in, honestly, a little skeptical. And I think this is where the mass media, the fake news media missed it last time. This is why the projections and numbers were so far off. Because when people walked into those rallies unsure, they walked out true believers. I mean, they walked out believing this is the guy that's going to put America first, who's going to have an agenda that's going to say that we're not going to take second seat to China or anybody else in the world. We're going to make sure that the UN, members of the UN pay their fair share. And that's how he won the election. And that's how he's going to win re-election.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Hold on. I have a
What's
confession.
that?
I have a confession. This is breaking news. I have never been to a Trump rally, and the one coming up in Tulsa is going to be my first Trump rally. I've been on the airwaves. I've been writing about it, talking about it, reading about them. This is going to be my first experience, Katrina, TW. I'm coming to your hometown. I'm excited about it because I want to be in the room with all of the people there. So like you said, if you haven't been, sign up to go. I'm all in for Tulsa, and I hope to be on the trail going to a lot more. But this is going to be my very first one. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, shame on Paris for this being his first one. But, we'll definitely have you, and you're going to love it. You'll be around friends, and it is truly electrifying. So the next time we have you on the program, you'll have to give your analysis of the Tulsa rally.
Yes.
Okay, guys. So look, Democrats are out there, including the mainstream media, who've been really, silent as all these protests and these mass gatherings are occurring across the country as if everyone else is immune to COVID. Meanwhile, Trump's getting ready to have a rally and Trump supporters are somehow more carriers and more susceptible to the disease. So I want to get your thoughts, on this double standard, because Paris, the Black Lives Matter has been, out there protesting, shoulder to shoulder. And, Black people are apparently disproportionately affected by COVID. So why is this not the other way around?
It's quite simply the mainstream media has an issue with Donald Trump being the president of the United States. So anything that he does, anything that he says, anything that the campaign does, the RNC does on his behalf is going to be flipped to use against him. It is sad that we saw the media sit there and say absolutely nothing about COVID-19 while you saw people take to the streets and peacefully protest, which we all support. You should be able to peacefully protest. But when they also sat there silently as thousands came out and did riots and looting and all these mass demonstrations and said nothing about it. But when President Trump wants to hold a rally, a peaceful rally to encourage and uplift the nation, to celebrate the legacy of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and around the time of Juneteenth and everything, they have a problem with it. And I tell you why I think they have a problem. It's because they want to stop the enthusiasm. They want to stop the message from getting out to the people. And this is what I consider voter suppression. They don't want people to come out and experience and see what actually happens and get on his team. Because what I have been told, and I know it is to be a fact, that there is a lot, thousands of people who sign up to go to our rallies are Democrats. And if Donald Trump is changing the minds of Democrats, they are fearful that he could change the mind of the entire country and have him voted in for 4 more years.
That goes to your point, TW, about, people coming in unsure and then leaving, hardcore Trump supporters, which is extremely important. But, you have these people that are out and they're not just protesting or even looting and rioting. Some of them are actually having keg parties. I mean, we've seen these videos online, but don't you dare go to church because you'll be arrested.
Right.
So, TW, what do you make of this double standard?
Well, I think, first of all, this is really symptomatic of why this election is so important, Katrina. This is really a fight for the soul of America. And it is a philosophical difference that the mainstream media has in its liberal cohorts versus the American people who still believe in personal liberty. Listen, I am a well-educated guy who's able to make good decisions about how to keep me and my family healthy. We can do that. We don't have any known health risks. We stay healthy. We live a healthy lifestyle. We understand the risk of COVID, and we're going to take the necessary precautions. But on the other flip side of that, you have what you see across the country with these liberal mayors in these cities that are frankly falling apart under their leadership. And it's because their solution, their answer to everything is we need more government. We need more government intervention. We need the government to control every aspect of our lives. And that's why the message of President Donald Trump is so important. And that's why his message, we had a moment in history, you think back, Katrina, when this COVID situation first hit us, and I can only imagine how many liberals were calling the president, how many even that are entrenched within kind of the deep state who were telling him that we need to take federal control over the situation in totality. And it was the president of the United States who said, no, we're not. We're going to go back to the principles that have made this country great, which is local control. And we're seeing it now. And it's one of the reasons that Oklahoma has been chosen as the first stop of the campaign to restart these rallies, is because our state was able to handle it in a professional way. We kept people safe, but we've also put people back to work. And that's why this election is so important, because it is a fight for the soul of America. And it really matters who's in the White House.
That's true.
Absolutely. God bless the red states. Gentlemen, stay right there. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with more Real Talk.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black. If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black, and you ain't black, and you ain't black.
Antifa is destroying our communities, rioting, looting. Yet Joe Biden kneels down and his staff sends money for bail. And Biden fails to stand up to the radical leftists fighting to defund and abolish the police. With Biden kneeling to the left, we'd have chaos in the streets. President Trump is standing up for us, keeping our communities safe, protecting minority-owned businesses, and always standing for our flag.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Thanks to President Trump, criminal justice reform gave nonviolent offenders a second chance at life and the American dream.
He has given $100 million to HBCUs for scholarships and research.
And he has done all this for us in less than one term. Imagine what he can achieve with 4 more years.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
Welcome back to Black Voices for Trump, Real Talk Online. Tonight with me is TW Shannon and Paris Dennard. Gentlemen, welcome back.
Thanks.
This week, President Trump signed an executive order regarding police reform. Paris, did you watch the announcement in the Rose Garden, and what did you make about the president's recommendations?
I did watch it in the Rose Garden, Katrina, and I was moved by the people that were present. And I just want to talk briefly about the fact that the president met with the families of people who have been victimized across the nation by various things, including Ahmaud Arbery's family. To have the president listen and bring together faith-based leaders, Black American leaders, community leaders, organizations, law enforcement, to bring together all of those people, including families that have been victims of shootings, and to have him have the presence of mind to do that, to bring together this executive order, which is substantive, which is action-based, which will actually make a difference, is exactly what the American people, the Black community, has been asking for. It is responsive, but it also encourages the local level officials to do their jobs even better. The things that are in here, the holistic approach, are positive. Things that we need, including eliminating the chokehold, unless it is putting the officer's life in danger. That is essential. That's important. What we need to do is get behind it, support him, and understand that this is something that is supported by law enforcement, community members, the Black community, and a whole host of other organizations who have been looking for this type of action from the president for many, many years. It only took the president a few weeks to bring people together and come up with a solution, and this is a good thing for the country.
Yeah, TW, it's interesting that Paris mentioned that this has been something that's been, at the top of the priority list for Black America, and it's something that, for many years, decades even, that this has been, an issue and an underlying problem that we've seen, particularly in Democrat communities. But the key here is, I think it's really important, is, back in January, this last January, President Trump formed the Commission on Law Enforcement and Administration of Justice. That was 6 months ago. Right. And it was resolved it was formed to solve these problems, whether it be, police brutality or training and coaching, mental health even was a main topic of that discussion. So President Trump was working on these problems before it was cool. And so it makes me wonder, why the first Black president and our opponent now, Joe Biden, never even touched the issue. So TW, what are your thoughts on this action that's been taken?
Well, I think the president addressed this in his remarks to the press yesterday when he said, because they didn't have an answer. They didn't know how to handle it. But, once again, we've seen Donald Trump do what he does best, which is lead. This is an issue, as you mentioned so eloquently, Katrina, and I don't have much to add on to what Paris said, who was exactly right. The president has made this a priority. He has said that the African-American community matters. The issues that are important to our community matter. And he's led on them, not just with pipe dreams and discussions of hope and change. He's led with real solutions. And not only that, something else the president doesn't get a lot of credit for has been his ability to work across the aisle on many issues to get even the Democrats on board. The Democrats who have spent the last 4 years, with investigations and impeachment processes and you name it, everything they can think of to cause a political action that they couldn't get done at the ballot box. Despite that, he and his administration, the president's administration, they've worked across the aisle. And I think this is just another example of him leading on an issue that's important, not just to Black America, but to all of America.
And I think, Katrina, if I could just add one thing, it's the fact that the president is taking a holistic approach, focusing on mental health and education and access to capital in the economy, and of course, the executive action dealing with the use of force. And so Democrats want to have a one-size-fits-all and just target one issue at a time. police brutality and said that's going to fix everything. The president and the administration wisely are saying there are more issues at stake. There are some underlying issues that we have to deal with: mental health, access to capital, the economy, education, and of course, this issue of use of force. So that holistic approach is something that is unprecedented, and it's going to make an even greater impact on the Black community, which is going to have an even better impact on the entire nation. So that's the type of leadership that we want. Somebody who's responsive, listening, but also putting forth a holistic approach that can really deal with the complex issues that are facing our community.
You know, and it's unfortunate that, you know, President Trump has to lead on this issue because the local leadership has failed for decades. Because if Democrats were truly wanting to resolve this issue, they wouldn't continue to vote the people in that maintain the status quo. So, you know, let's move on to a big controversy that was going on surrounding the rally, and that was the date that it was originally scheduled on. And so Democrats, including Joe Biden, they've weaponized, you know, a very important holiday for Black Americans, you know, June 19th. And they're using it to attack the president. Paris, can you tell us about Juneteenth and why this became a big deal?
Well, in the Black community, and I would even take it a step back, the Republican Party is the party of freedom, the party of opportunity, and we've always been like that from our beginning. When President Lincoln freed the slaves with the Emancipation Proclamation, unfortunately, the news didn't get to every enslaved Black American. It took several months, almost a year, for the information, the freedom news, to get to Galveston, Texas. And when it got to Texas, that's when the last group of enslaved Black Americans were actually freed. And that night, there was a huge celebration of their freedom. And so on June 19th is a time where Black Americans celebrate the fullness of the emancipation taking place for our community. And so for us, it is the true symbol of freedom. It's the true idea of the fullness of what Abraham Lincoln, a Republican, did to heal the nation, but to also make Black Americans whole and a part of the nation. And so we celebrate Juneteenth because it's important. And I think it's a great thing that President Trump wanted to hold the rally to celebrate, stand in solidarity with the Black community. But as you said, the Democrats were afraid, weaponized Juneteenth, and tried to make it seem as if he was disrespectful, or he didn't care, or didn't know, or the campaign didn't know about what was going on. The president is mindful of our community. And this is the last point I'll make. What a president to take the time to listen to the Black community, to his advisors, and say, you know what? I don't want to let the media take away from this celebration. I'll move my rally to the 20th out of respect for the holiday, so that the media cannot have another negative, destructive, voter suppression talking point against me. That is leadership. That's being responsive, and that's being respectful to the Black community, which he always has done. And so I think it's important for us, and I know the president feels the same way, for us to highlight and celebrate and point out and shine the spotlight on things that are important to the Black community, just like he did with HBCUs. No one was talking about HBCUs before President Trump put them on the map the way he's done in the national media. The attention that the president can shine from as being the president of the United States globally to things like Juneteenth are things the media should celebrate and not denigrate.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people didn't even know what Juneteenth was until the president was going to celebrate it. And so, but, you know, leave it up to Democrats to argue for the limitations of Black people. So, you know, Joe Biden, who himself has held events on Juneteenth in the past, you know, attempted to attack our president and immediately embarrassed himself by demonstrating he actually had no clue what Juneteenth was. Let's take a look at this clip.
He's going down at Texas on Juneteenth, right? The first major massacre, literally speaking, of the Black Wall Street, right? Years ago.
Okay, guys. So first of all, it's not Texas. We're going to Tulsa. You know, and it's again another example of why Joe Biden is not fit to be on the trail, more or less, to lead the country And TW, I'll go to you now because this is something that's important. There is a Black Wall Street. There was a riot that took place. Tell our audience what happened.
Well, first of all, Black Wall Street, Katrina, it really is a celebration of the Greenwood neighborhood, which was about 39 square acres at the turn of the last century, around the 1900s. It was really a black middle class, a really upper black middle class, frankly, where there were black-owned hotels, black-owned banks, and even a black-owned cab stand that had several Ford Model T vehicles that transported people around the city of Tulsa. And it was really a celebration of black ingenuity. That's what Black Wall Street was, because of the wealth that was accumulated there. Right. Unfortunately, because of the fake media, the fake news media, I think it was the Tulsa Tribune, that was the name of the paper at the time, published a false accusation that an African-American shoe shine young man, 19 years old, had raped a white woman who was an elevator operator. Well, that spread like wildfire. Eventually, there was a big standoff. And it was government-sanctioned terrorism. And they destroyed over 1,000 homes, 300 businesses that were there, burnt them to the ground over 2 days. And that became known as the Tulsa Massacre. For years, it wasn't even talked about. In fact, it was denied. The same paper that created, that lit the fire, if you will, denied that the massacre ever happened. So for a long time, it was whitewashed out of our history. And I think, when I look and I think about what's happening around the country with so many historical signs being torn down, historical monuments being torn down, much like you see the terrorists doing over in the Middle East, right. It's just a reminder to me that we need to tell history. Not all of our history is beautiful, but we need to tell the full story when we tell history and not try to whitewash it and hide it. And so the idea of Black Wall Street is it's principles. It's a reflection of principles that still work. The reason there was a successful middle class African Americans coming right out of slavery was because there were three ingredients that they had. It was based on strong families, access to capital, and a true work ethic. And those are the things that still work. Those principles still work in America in 2020.
Yeah.
Well, TW, you're CEO of a bank now. So what is the state of affairs for Black businesses in Oklahoma today?
Well, of course, Black businesses, like everywhere, have been under the deluge of the pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic has really knocked and hit some of our Black businesses harder than any. But thank goodness that the Trump administration once again led, reaching across the aisle, getting bipartisan support for the PPP program, which put capital directly in the hands of business owners and business leaders and workers across the community, also providing for unemployment benefits. And we know that the African American community is always disproportionately affected by the unemployment of the country. These were real dollars that were put in the hands of working Americans to keep people working. And it's the reason we're seeing this economy rebound like we are. So African American business in Oklahoma are certainly feeling the pinch of COVID, but not like in areas in these liberal states and liberal cities that are controlled by legacy liberals that have continued to suppress economic activity. So Oklahoma businesses, much like the African American businesses here in Oklahoma, are going to fare much better than I think their counterparts in other states.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Paris, I have to get your thoughts on this, because what do you think would have happened in the press if President Trump had made the allegation that the Tulsa massacre happened in Texas? I mean, This is where we are with Joe Biden today. Where would we be if that had been the other way around?
I think it's just another example of Joe Biden being unfit to serve and unfit to lead. He has no idea what he's talking about in terms of American history or Black history. He's not present in the moment, and he didn't lead in the past. And so President Trump has the presence of mind to want to go to Tulsa for this rally in a way to honor the men and women, the Black men and women that TW was talking about, who built tremendous wealth in the community. Because I know that this happened 99 years ago, May 31st to June 1st. Fast forward to what we saw May 31st to June 1st, 2020, when the president saw Black businesses burned down, being looted, being destroyed, when he saw Black Americans killed. This is something that we saw 99 years ago with the massacre in Tulsa. And the president has been talking about building wealth in the Black community, having access to capital, getting regulations and Democrat policies off our backs. But here's a point that TW made that I think I want to hit again. It was the fact that the local government in Tulsa allowed this massacre to happen. And you look at these Democrat mayors all across the country, like in Minneapolis, they allowed the looting and the violence and the destruction of Black communities to happen. So President Trump, with his agenda, having a presence of mind to know what happened at Tulsa at that massacre on Black Wall Street, this is what part of what he's been trying to do and build for the community since 2016. Build up many Black Wall Streets all over this nation, build up Black businesses and Black wealth and Black generational wealth. And that is why it's a great opportunity for us and for the president to go and again shine a light on not just the massacre, but the promise that happened, the reality of what happened with those tremendously innovative, entrepreneurial Black Americans who fought and who literally died to have a better life for their community. And years later, Tulsa was rebuilt. Black Wall Street was rebuilt. And I believe that if these local leaders cared about the Black community, they will get down there and help rebuild their Black communities that they allowed to burn as well.
You know, if we don't learn from our history, we are doomed to repeat it. To TW's point, we have to preserve our history. Mm-hmm. So, Paris, I'm going to take your 2016. You said that the president has been trying to empower, enable Black businesses in 2016. I'm going to raise you and go all the way back to the 1990s. So I want to play this clip, and you've never seen it in the press, but it's of Jesse Jackson highlighting President Trump's commitment to build Black entrepreneurship. And this is back in the 90s. Take a look.
Wow.
In terms of reaching out and being inclusive, he's done that too. And created for many people a comfort zone when I ran for the presidency in 84 and 88. And many others thought it was either laughable or something to avoid. He came to our business meeting here in New York because he has this sense of the curious and a will to rest to make things better. And so aside from all of his style and his pizzazz, he's a serious person who is an effective builder of building the builder of people. Last year, he was a part of our workshop, of our panel workshop on what are the challenges and opportunities. And so this, a year later, Donald Trump, for a few minutes, challenges and opportunities.
And with that, we'll take one final break and be back with more Real Talk. Stay tuned.
We know you want to give Donald Trump 4 more years to fight for you in Washington, but he isn't just up against Joe Biden. He's up against the Democrat fundraising machine, and he needs all the help he can get. Don't just assume because his opponent hasn't completed a single sentence that this campaign is over. Crazy things happen, like this woman becoming Speaker of the House. Support the president today by texting Trump to 88022. Donald Trump is counting on every single one of his supporters to text Trump to 88022 now.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
People are really looking for something. I think you have to go out and really work hard.
You've sort of become like a folk hero.
There are no better builders than we have in New York, and a big percentage of that is Black and minority folks, and I'm very proud of it.
I say to the African-American people that have to suffer, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to fix it.
The Black unemployment rate, the lowest in history.
1.3 million jobs, more than 1.3 million jobs added for African Americans. You talk about the First Step Act, thousands of people released from jail, 90% of them being African American.
And I want to thank our incredible president.
Funding for historically Black colleges and universities. Opportunity zones, almost 9,000 of those in marginalized areas. This president has done more for African Americans in a matter of 2 to 3 years than any president in my lifetime.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
Welcome back to Black Voices for Trump, Real Talk Online. I'm joined by TW Shannon and Paris Dennard. So, gentlemen, before I get your final thoughts tonight, I want to give our audience several ways to get involved because the election is only 5 months away and there's still so much that you can do from home. First, download the new Trump 2020 campaign app and sign up at armyfortrump.com to get more involved. To stay in touch with the campaign, text Trump to 88022, and to join the Black Voices for Trump coalition, text WOKE to 88022 and visit blackvoices.donaldjtrump.com for more information. If you like tonight's broadcast, please like and share the program. So, gentlemen, let's get to your final thoughts. Paris, let's start with you.
Katrina, thank you again for having me here. I am so honored to be associated with Donald Trump because I believe in his message. I believe in his winning record, and I believe in what he's doing, not only for the entire nation, but what he's doing for the Black community. It's an honor to be with Black Voices for Trump as an advisory board member, and I am going to do everything that I can to help elect Donald Trump for 4 more years, because when I look at the difference between Joe Biden and his 44-year record of doing nothing for the Black community and Donald Trump's 3.5-year record of doing so many things for the Black community, from an economics, from economics, from health, mental health, to education, school choice, HBCU support, this president continues to listen. This president continues to deliver, and this president continues to make good on all of the promises that he made in 2016. So my final thought is, to the Black community, have an open heart and open mind to what President Trump and the Republican Party has to offer in this election. The contrast is clear. The facts are there. Do your homework, do your own research. Don't take my word for it. Look it up yourself, and you will find the truth behind what Joe Biden has not done for our community, and the truth as to what Donald Trump has done for our community.
That's right. There is a record, and everyone should evaluate it. And TW, let's get your final thoughts for the evening.
Well, Katrina, I think it's important that the American people understand, and I think they're understanding it more and more every single day, that this election is a fight for the soul of America. And really, when you think about where we are as a country, and the contrast that you have between President Trump, who is a proactive leader, who takes charge, who takes initiative, who listens, but who also comes up with solutions, versus the Democrats' candidate, Sleepy Joe, who can't quite seem to piece together 2 sentences. In fact, I'm really worried that the next time that Beijing Biden is on, we're going to have to issue a silver alert just to figure out where he is on any issue, or where he is when he's not in his basement. But the reality is there are really 2 types of worldviews that exist today, Katrina. Either you believe that God created man, or you believe that man created God. And if you believe that God created man, then you know that there are certain inalienable rights that cannot be taken away from us. And President Trump has made a vow and a commitment to stand up for those inalienable rights for every single American, including Black Americans. And I'm so excited to be on board with Team Trump, and I'm so excited that he's coming to Oklahoma, and I'm so excited about his win this coming November.
Well, thank you, TW, and we'll see you on Saturday.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
And thank you, Paris and TW, for joining us tonight. And thanks to everyone at home for tuning in. Tune in 7 nights a week for more Team Trump Online, and check our online schedule for the next episode of Black Voices for Trump, Real Talk Online. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time.
We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. And we will make America great again. And the best is yet to come.
My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Corn Pop was a bad dude. I'm a Democrat.
I'm not going nuts. You'd be the oldest president in American history.
Are you Winston Churchill?
All right, Chuck. Thank you very much. It's Chris, but anyway.
It would put 720 million back in the workforce. We choose truth over facts.
Welcome to another episode of
Truth Over Facts.
When we last left you, we promised the conclusion of our months-long investigation into exactly who or what is a lying, dog-faced pony soldier. You know, the misogynistic insult that creepy Joe Biden slung at a young female questioner during a bizarre campaign rally outburst.
How do you explain the performance in Iowa?
Have been to a caucus? No, you haven't. You're a lying dog-faced Tony Soul. Lying dog-faced Tony Soul.
I got up to ask a question, and his immediate response to me was, "You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier."
Not even the liberal media understood who or what Clueless Joe was talking about. So we sent detectives into the field, had sketch artists mock up images to match witness statements, but nothing conclusive came to fruition. The trail seemed to be running cold. But then, Joe's campaign insisted that the term comes from a classic cowboy movie.
They claimed it came from a movie and it was meant to be funny, but Madison Moore wasn't laughing.
You want to keep your references within the last half century?
So we sat down with an acclaimed film and television historian who has studied various Hollywood hits throughout his lustrous career. We are joined now by Mr. Bot Scao. Mr. Scao, what do you think of that phrase?
This phrase is not from any movie I, nor my colleagues can remember. The campaign says that it's from a John Wayne movie, but as others have reported, no one has actually located what he's referring to. There was a movie from the 1950s, but this line was never uttered. Now, there is a rumor swirling in auteur circles that the reference may have been mouthed in a very, 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 very old silent movie from the post-war era.
Oh, the 1950s?
No, the First World War.
This historical lead was met by a curious statement from the candidate himself.
Sometimes I wake up and I think it's 1920.
Could it be that clueless Joe Biden, who feels like he was born in the roaring 20s, was merely citing a pop culture clip from that era to seem hip? Maybe. Just maybe. Frustrated, we decided to watch the outburst one last time for clues. Then it dawned on our investigators. You can't believe anything Joe Biden or his campaign say. With that truth established, here's the fact. There is only one known person, at least in recorded history, to use that phrase. And it's the candidate himself, who can't remember where it came from. A composite that our sketch artists put together after interviewing Biden event attendees is unveiled. This regularly confused candidate sees this image every day when he looks in the mirror.
I'm not going nuts.
That's it for this edition of Truth Over Facts. Please join us next time when we tackle the Charlie Parker conundrum.
Oh, I'm in trouble.